right. Hello, everyone. This is Summer from Kind Theory, and we have our fabulous nutritionist, Rebecca King, here with us for our third session of Nourish Diversity. We're not going to do the usual long introduction because by now, most of you already know who we are. So just to kind of let you know briefly, Becca is a registered dietitian from North Carolina. And we are Kind Theory, a nonprofit organization that is working to cultivate acceptance of neurodiversity through education and opportunities. We're already halfway through our Nourish Diversity program, and your response has been phenomenal. Those of you who are not able to attend, we are getting emails and feedback on the sessions that we upload on YouTube. So thank you so much for everybody who's watching this live or offline or later, and whoever's reaching out to us, letting us know how helpful it's been for them. But that being said, we wanted to celebrate a little. And so we wanted to play a little game. And whoever wins the game is going to get $25 in Amazon gift card. So there are two memes. So basically there are two games. And since all of you are not able to attend this session live, we're going to give it 24 hours after it goes online to let people comment and then choose the winner from there. So we're going to choose one winner live and then one winner later online through when it gets uploaded. So within the 24 hours it gets uploaded. So that being said, I'm going to move on to the slide, caption the meme. So I would request all of you to try captioning it in a way that it's captioned from a neurodiversity point of view and adding a little bit of nutrition within the caption. So Becca, you can participate as well, but you won't win. I'm just giving you a disclaimer. So if you all can jump on the audio and caption it or type it out, let me know. We have 5 minutes to caption this meme, and your time starts now. So this game is caption the meme. Think about the caption, and I think Aisha has given a caption, me whenever I get to the chocolate section of a grocery store. That's a good one. Well, if I was captioning this, I would have probably done while doing my dishes, suddenly, ooh, chocolate cake or something like that. I tend to get distracted very easily. Becca, my face when I find a new That's a good one, Becca. Okay, John, me finding that super secret trail entrance while being completely lost in the forests. Well, that actually, screams neurodiversity to me. A lot of neurodivergent people are that excited about the super secret trail entrances. Only to know that. Good. That's a good one. All right, so we have 2 more minutes for this meme, and then we're going to move forward. If there's anyone else who wants to caption this meme, 2 more minutes, guys. Okay, so we're going to move forward now to the other one. Caption this meme, y'all. It's almost like when you eat the last piece of chicken wing in the fridge and you don't want your sibling to tell your parents. It's my candy. I need the dopamine more. Oh my god, that is epic, Lashandra. Okay, have you tried working with to-do lists? That's a good one too. Me when I try to focus on healthy eating. Broccoli. Oh, look, chocolate cake. That's a good one, Aisha. Okay, so we have 3 more minutes for this meme, and then we'll slowly pass the torch to Becca for starting the program officially. Okay, so Becca's caption would be, when someone suggests I try meal prepping. So are you more of a dog person or a cat person, or kind of both?
I'm definitely a dog person. We have 3 dogs.
Oh, wow. No cats?
No cats.
Owen is a cat person. Aisha is both dog and cat. I'm kind of both too, so. All right, so we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to move to the housekeeping rules, just the basics. Nothing new here, you guys. Just use the raise hand feature if you need to speak or have a question, so that we know how that we need to pause and let you ask your question. And then if internet and technology is not trustworthy, so if we get disconnected or if the meeting ends, please give us 5 minutes to get the same link live again. And you should be able to join. And anything other than that, if you have any trouble, please feel free to message us or email us. We will be live during this whole 1 hour and help you with any of the technical difficulties that you may be having. This is a monthly program agenda. You guys all should have a copy of that through Eventbrite. But just to kind of recap, we are in month 3 right now. So we'll be doing today top nutrients for ADHDers. This is today's agenda, nothing new. And with that, I am going to pass the torch to Becca.
We're going to chat about some of the top nutrients for ADHD, and then we will talk about some micronutrients, some things to think about with supplements. We'll also discuss a couple important macronutrients for ADHD. And then we'll play a little game to test your knowledge, and then do the Q&A at the end. So with diet and ADHD, there actually haven't been any studies that look at diet as a way to manage or treat ADHD in adults. There have been a lot of studies in kids, but there really haven't been any in adults. So it's kind of hard to say if any of the studies that have been done in kids would show the same benefits in adults, but a lot of the recommended diets, they're often elimination style diets, which means they can be very restrictive, and they also tend to require a lot of time and resources, both financial and cooking skills and things like that, because a lot of them require you to eat foods that can be a little bit not accessible to everybody in terms of affordability. And then a lot of them have to be things that are, everything is cooked from scratch pretty much, which not everyone has the time and cooking skills and all that to be able to do that. But a lot of them don't necessarily, these studies don't have a lot of evidence that they necessarily work or that they're sustainable long-term. There's one diet that's being studied that does show some good potential for ADHD. But the what's it called? The researchers conducting these studies have said that this diet, it's called the Few Foods diet. It's not ready to be used by the general population because it's so restrictive, and it can take up to a year to actually work through the whole elimination phase of the diet, which is a long time to be able to stick to a very, very restrictive diet. There are a lot of recommendations in terms of removing gluten, soy, dairy, and preservatives and food dyes. And if these things removing them does help your symptoms, that is great for you if you want to try that. But it's not always necessary or doable for some people. It takes a lot of time and energy, and sometimes not buying things with certain ingredients in them might be a little bit more expensive. Food dyes is one where regardless of whether kids have ADHD or not, the research shows there's just a small subset of kids who tend to be a little bit more sensitive to food dyes, but that can happen in kids who don't have ADHD as well. And hopefully that's something they'll kind of slowly start to work out of the food supply, because it's not necessary totally. And I would say any diet that claims they can heal ADHD is a big red flag. And I think it's a little bit ableist too to suggest that our brains need to be healed in some way. But really a lot of the things we'll talk about today, even the nutrients to focus on, it usually it falls in line with like the dietary guidelines for Americans. So just like the guidelines for healthy eating, but a lot of us might struggle with meeting these things or being able to actually meet the guidelines in terms of eating enough fruits and vegetables, eating whole grains, things like that can be hard for some people for a variety of reasons. So there's 3 minerals that have been studied for ADHD. Iron, zinc, and magnesium are these 3 minerals. So we'll talk about those first. Iron, low iron has been, can impact our sleep. And when some kids are given iron supplements for ADHD, it's been shown to help with impulsivity, inattention, and hyperactivity. And it's pretty interesting in the research out there. It shows that kids sometimes are not necessarily deficient or anemic in terms of their iron levels, but even being on the low end of normal can benefit from increasing their intake. But when it comes to iron, diet really is the safest way to increase your iron levels. If you are anemic, your doctor might give you an iron supplement to help get your iron levels back up to normal. And if you do that, you always want to make sure when you take an iron supplement, you take it with food, because it can make you nauseous if you take it on an empty stomach. And with all 3 of these minerals, iron, zinc, and magnesium, if you do want to supplement with them, I would get your blood work done first to make sure that you are either deficient or on the low end of normal, because minerals, the way they break down in our body, if we consume too much of them, it can become toxic. So we want to make sure that we're not giving our body more than what we need of those things. A lot of our protein sources, so especially animal protein, land animals in particular, are really good sources of iron. And then our fortified cereals actually have the highest content of iron out of any of our food sources. Whole grains, dark leafy greens, and legumes are also sources. If you do have any of those plant-based types of iron, a good rule of thumb is to eat them with something that has vitamin C in it, because it helps kind of increase the absorption of the iron from those plant-based sources. So if you had, let's say, spinach would be a dark leafy green. So if you wanted to have like a spinach salad and put, berries or something on top of it, then which is a lovely salad in the summer, but that would be a way to help increase the iron in that food. Do you guys, looking at some of these food sources, are there any iron food sources that you guys really enjoy eating?
I'm kind of like sometimes get the urge to eat some red beef and stuff like that, or some beans, and it's usually I feel like, okay, probably I need something like that, and mushrooms and stuff with it, or some broccoli. So usually it kicks in, but I also have the experience that supplements tend to help for a period of time.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, as you said, you shouldn't probably overdo it. And I checked with my doctor, and he was like, okay, everything's fine in your blood. But I have the feeling that sometimes supplements can improve symptoms.
Yeah.
But not for a long period of time. So sometimes I think you need the good stuff in the form of the right food, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's pretty cool too, like those, like when we get a craving sometimes for food, sometimes people think we're always going to crave like desserts or things like that, or like chips. But sometimes those cravings are actually, like craving a steak is definitely a good example of like your body letting you know, right, that you might need some more iron in your diet. So I think that's pretty cool. I love how many people have spinach. That's awesome. Next mineral we'll chat about is zinc. This is involved in regulating dopamine. If you take methylphenidate or Ritalin, there's some research to show that it can help make it more effective. And then low zinc can alter our taste and smell. So if you are a picky eater, or if you have kids who are picky eaters, sometimes it's worth getting their zinc levels checked to see if that's what's maybe making food not taste right to them. And another cool part, zinc is also involved in our immune system. And so part of the reason that they think when we get COVID that we lose taste and smell is that as our body is fighting COVID, it depletes the zinc stores in our body. And that's why we can lose taste and smell, which I think is pretty interesting as well. And then in terms of supplementation, it has been shown to improve impulsivity and hyperactivity. The recommended amount is 20 milligrams a day if you were to actually take a zinc supplement. And you don't want to take more than 40 milligrams a day because that can be potentially lead to toxicity. But again, just like iron, I would definitely get your zinc levels checked before supplementing. So, Samar, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. So as far as smell and zinc is concerned, does deficiency of zinc also cause you to kind of detect smells or fragrances that are not there? Can zinc play a role in that?
Like phantom smells?
Yes.
I'm not aware if zinc is involved in that. I've looked into that before and I can't remember. I will have to look up the answer, Samar, and let you know, because I've looked into this before of like where phantom smells come from. And I can't remember what the answer was, but I'm not sure if zinc's involved in that. It might be, but it could be something else too.
All right, thank you. I'll research that as well.
Oh, nice. Do you mean when you take your medication on an empty stomach? Sometimes, the supplement, I would have to look into that. If it seems to work better, it's probably because your body's already kind of metabolized, the zinc's already in your system, versus, taking it afterwards, because your medication will be absorbed after. So it makes sense. And some food sources, there's lots of some of the similar sources with iron there as well. Yeah, placebo is nice. A lot of people don't get enough zinc either. So oysters are the richest source of zinc in terms of food, but all these other foods also provide some zinc for us as well. So are there any foods looking at this list or in the picture that you guys like to eat?
Shrimps, definitely shrimps.
Yeah. I love seafood, especially if I'm by the beach. I have to get some fresh seafood if it's. Ooh, yeah, oysters are really good. I don't know if they're more common here in the States than they are in Europe, but they're very tasty. And our last mineral is magnesium. This is involved in attention, and low levels may increase hyperactivity and restlessness. So there is a connection between restless leg syndrome too and ADHD. But some people will take a magnesium supplement at night. Because it can help with sleep and relaxation. The RDA I forgot to mention in these corners, these are just the recommended daily allowances. So like what the average person needs to meet their like minimum needs of this whatever nutrient is there. Magnesium supplements you can take between 100 and 200 milligrams a day. But again, I would just ask your doctor to check your levels if you do want to supplement. And a good rule in terms of identifying foods that have magnesium in them, foods that contain fiber will also contain magnesium. So again, we have our spinach that made an appearance here. Bananas, lots of our nuts and seeds. Pumpkin seeds actually contain the most magnesium out of all of our food sources as well. So are there any other foods on this list that you guys enjoy eating? Oh yeah, that can happen. There is a preferred type, and I'm gonna draw a blank on it off the top of my head. There's one you don't want to take because it can have some GI effects if you take that one, but I cannot remember which one it is. So I will follow up and let you know if that's okay. I'm assuming if you're already taking it, you're probably taking the right kind. So, because you'd notice the GI issues there. So, yeah. Yes, almonds are on there. So, almonds, both zinc and magnesium. Yeah, we get lots of minerals from our nuts and seeds. Like cashews are another really good one. Have a lot of nutrients, and walnuts as well. So lots of good nutrients in our nuts. The nice part is we don't have to consume a lot of them either to get a lot of the benefits. And then next, vitamin C. So basically, most of our fruits and vegetables will contain vitamin C in some way, but this is involved in the production of dopamine, but how it impacts ADHD, we don't fully understand yet. But it can, supplementation has been shown to help with hyperactivity, but in the study that they did this in, they also supplemented with iron. So it's kind of hard to tell whether it was the iron or the vitamin C that gave the benefits. It's kind of the hard part about a lot of the studies with nutrients in ADHD. They often combine multiple nutrients in one study. So it's hard to figure out which one is going to have the benefits to it. So hopefully we'll get better designed studies in the future though. If you do supplement with vitamin C, you want to be careful if you take an amphetamine-based stimulant because it can interact with those types of stimulants. If you take Vyvanse, Vyvanse is a different class, so it doesn't vitamin C won't interfere with that. So if you do supplement with vitamin C, you want to wait like an hour before or after taking your meds to take vitamin C. But if you eat breakfast and have some fruit or something on this list, it likely, a serving of fruit is not going to get you anywhere close to 2,000 milligrams. If you take like an immune supplement, so like Emergency or some of those sorts of things, those usually contain that much. And it took me about 5 years of taking my medication. And I happened to be flipping through like a drug interaction book in grad school and was like, let's see what my medication interacts with. And I was like, wait, nobody told me. And I would take my morning meds and an immune supplement every morning. And I couldn't figure out why my afternoon meds worked so much better. And it was because it can interfere. Taking too much vitamin C when you take amphetamine-based medications doesn't allow as much of it to get absorbed. So your body basically just excretes it in your urine instead of absorbing it into your bloodstream. But again, usually food, it takes a lot of food to get to 2,000 milligrams. I think red bell peppers have the most amount of vitamin C in them. And you'd have to have I think it's like 12 cups of red bell pepper in one sitting to get to 2,000 milligrams. And I don't know anyone that can consume that much red bell peppers in a sitting, at least on a regular basis. So food is a great way though to increase your vitamin C intake because our food sources also contain fiber as well as other vitamins and minerals and antioxidants that supplements cannot provide for us. So that's why it's important to some people will say like eat the rainbow as kind of a rule of thumb for fruits and vegetables as a way to get in variety there as well. If you take grapefruit juice, grapefruit has its own rule with a lot of medications. It can interfere with them. So if you take any medications, you always want to double check because it'll usually say on there to not take it with grapefruit. The acidity of grapefruit can impact the absorption of some medications. So does that interact? I have seen this. So the interactions with meds is really complicated to get the right answer. Some drug pamphlets will say one thing and then research shows other things. So it's very confusing. Like I had one of my friends had to call the manufacturer of Vyvanse to figure out if it interacts with vitamin C because it was that hard to find an answer. So it can be really hard. Oh, that's interesting, Aisha. Tomatoes are delicious. And the cool part with like your fruits and vegetables, all the different pigments have different types of antioxidants and things in them that have lots of health promoting and health and preventative qualities to them, which is pretty cool. So ooh, yeah. And there is, I've seen on Reddit before too, people will say like take a vitamin C supplement to help get your medication out of your system faster, but I haven't found anything to back that up. So I'm not sure if it actually does that or not, but I've seen that in some threads. And then our second to last micronutrient is B6. B6 also is very similar like iron. A lot of people can be anemic and have low levels of different B vitamins because usually they're not consuming enough protein sources and things like that. But deficiency in B6 can lead to fatigue and irritability. But when you, if you need to supplement and you can get to an adequate level in your blood, it can help with increasing alertness and decreasing anxiety-like symptoms. And it may help with hyperactivity when it's combined with magnesium. There is no recommended dose yet for vitamin B6 in terms of supplementing for ADHD. And in terms of food sources, chickpeas actually are the food that has the most amount of B6 in it. So oh yeah, worth trying. Looking at B6 foods, do you guys have any foods on this list you really enjoy eating? Chickpeas are my favorite in the form of hummus. I'm a big hummus person, so. That would be a good question. I don't know the exact amount, but I can look it up when we're done and find out. Do you eat a lot of chickpeas? Yeah, I love hummus and all the different flavors. And the cool part of chickpeas is they're a good source of fiber and also a good plant-based source of protein too. We get some good protein from that. Potatoes, I also love potatoes, especially if they're roasted. Ooh, that sounds really good. Does it have paprika in it by chance, Lamar? I'm guessing with the paprika in the name. Ooh, even better. Okay. Crunchy, sign me up. I love crunchy foods. Yes, please. I'd love to try it. I like trying new recipes. It's always fun. Taurine is another nutrient that's been shown to maybe help with ADHD, but mostly, yeah. Yeah, sometimes you can get into the weeds looking up nutrition research. It can be overwhelming. Taurine is an amino acid, so it is, if you are eating protein, you're going to get this that way, but it is really an essential amino acid, so we have to consume it. Our kids have to consume it in order to help with cardiovascular function and development and function of the brain. There haven't been any human studies yet to show that supplementation can help, but in rats, it's shown that has helped with hyperactivity and things like that. So, but if you're eating enough protein, you will likely be getting enough taurine as well. And speaking of protein, or wait, one more thing I want to talk about before supplements. I wanted to bring up supplements. So if you do supplement in the US, supplements are not regulated the same way that medications are. So you really want to make sure if you are in the US, you buy supplements that are third-party tested, because that basically means someone has independently verified that what's on the label of the supplement is what's in each actual pill or tablet or whatever the form of the supplement. Because if not, companies can say, you know, if there's, let's say they have 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, one capsule could have 100 milligrams, another capsule could have 1,000, and if it's not third-party tested. So you just want to make sure, or they could have other things that aren't on the label added into their supplements. So those three, consumerlab.com, NSF, and USP, these labels on the bottom, if you see those on a supplement, it means that it's been third-party tested. But you always want to talk to a doctor or your doctor or a pharmacist, even if you want to take a supplement, especially if you do take other medications, because there can be interactions between supplements and medications that can be very dangerous. So you always want to ask and bring those things in. If you're going to get surgery too, you always want to bring up what supplements in addition to medications you take. And remembering that natural doesn't always necessarily mean that it is safe, because there can be other things depending on how much of certain supplements that you take, it might not be safe. So it's just always something to be careful of. And some questions to ask if you are thinking about a supplement is what the benefits are, what some of the risks might be, how much of it or what dose you should take, and then how, when, and for how long you should take the supplement. In the US, the Office of Dietary Supplements, that link there, I'll share, you'll be able to find it with the slides, or the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. Both of these websites have a lot of evidence-based recommendations and information on different types of supplements. So if you want to go somewhere and make sure that you're getting research that is has a lot of evidence and has been peer-reviewed and things like that, I would check out those websites. And just be careful of marketing claims. Supplements can say that they might help with certain health conditions, but then they will always follow up with this statement has not been evaluated by the FDA, and not that whatever supplement, you know, it's not intended to diagnose, treat, or prevent any disease. So just always be careful. A lot of supplement companies are really good. Sometimes their marketing is really good at getting us to try things where we might end up spending a lot of money on supplements that might not always do things to benefit us. So just something to be cautious of. Yeah, it's such a bummer. They're crazy expensive. So out of our three macronutrients, so we have carbs, fat, and protein are our three macronutrients. Protein, I would say, is probably one of the most important ones for ADHD, and one we don't always get enough of. I think because a lot of us tend to like carbs, which is totally okay, but sometimes protein can be a little bit harder to get enough of. But protein does have a lot of those micronutrients we were talking about earlier. A lot of those sources, or a lot of those foods kind of crossover are proteins. But protein makes the amino acids or the building blocks for our neurotransmitters. and it also triggers our alertness neurotransmitters. Protein's really important for helping us keep our blood sugar stable. So when we are eating a meal that maybe has a lot of carbs in it, it can be really helpful to make sure we're including protein with those meals. So that way our blood sugar will not peak and crash, and those big changes in our blood sugar can sometimes increase ADHD symptoms. So generally it's a good rule of thumb to have protein at your meals, even if you don't have ADHD, because it also helps keep us full for longer too. But for ADHDers, including protein, especially at breakfast, because think about it, helping wake up those alertness neurotransmitters can help with managing our symptoms. And you're not going to have a big, if you just ate cereal, for instance, regular cereal, it's, typically a little bit higher in sugar. So it's probably going to peak, bring your blood sugar up and back down really quickly. And it probably won't, generally cereal doesn't keep us full for very long. So some people might add, I know some of my clients will add like a protein powder in the milk of their cereal and use that as a way to get protein in if they're going to have cereal. So that way it keeps them full for longer and their blood sugar stays a little bit more stable. And the optimal intake for protein, if you are someone who's not very active, between 1.2 and 1.8 kilograms, 1.2 to 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. If you're someone who's more active, you might need a little bit more, so 1.4 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. And to get kilograms, or to get your weight from pounds to kilograms, you divide your weight by 2.2, and that's how you can figure out kilograms. So if you wanted to figure out how much you would need, you could, if you, let's say you weighed 60 kilograms, for instance, and you were an active person, you would do 60 kilograms times 1.4 or 2 to figure out your intake. But that's just a fun little aside. If you're someone though who struggles with eating enough protein, eating on your medication, if you're someone who frequently has low or no appetite, or you're sick, or if you have a wound, like if you've gotten surgery or like something like that, you have a wound that needs to be healed, proteins, considering a supplement might be helpful, just to have an easy way to get in a lot of protein. So protein powders, protein shakes, even like meal replacement drinks, those things can be really easy ways to increase your protein intake, especially if like eating a lot of animal proteins or a lot of food sources, if that's not an option as well. So usually if you are wanting to lose weight, you want to consume more protein. Usually most diets tend to be a little bit higher in protein, and then lower usually in our other 2 macronutrients. So less carbs and usually like reducing some fat in some way. Protein tends to be the one that eating more of tends to be helpful in supporting our weight loss goals generally. So usually increasing it a little. Yeah. And then in terms of food sources, lean meats tend to be a really good source, and poultry, seafood, eggs, any of our beans, peas, legumes, those sorts of things. Any soy-based products, so tofu, tempeh, seitan, nuts, seeds, any dairy products, so like cheese. Cottage cheese is one that's making a comeback right now because it's got a lot of protein in it. Greek yogurts, those sorts of things can be great sources. Even broccoli has a little bit of protein in it as well too, which I think is pretty cool. So, and protein's one out of all my macronutrients. I buy a lot more conveniency things of a lot of these sometimes because I don't love cooking proteins or handling them for sensory reasons. So I will buy things like that are already cooked that I just have to reheat, or frozen things that I can heat up in the air fryer, so I don't have to handle them as much. But that's just a personal preference. Yeah. Ooh, canned tuna. And that canned tuna is great too because it's a good source of our last nutrient that we'll talk about, which is omega-3 fatty acids. Tuna is an excellent source of that. If this is the most researched supplement for ADHD, it can help with improving hyperactivity, impulsivity, and concentration. It's also an anti-inflammatory fat, and a lot of people tend to not consume enough of omega-3s. So we have like omega-3s and omega-6s, and most people tend to consume more of our omega-6 types of fats. So a lot of our like saturated fats and things like that from animals can be omega-6s. Fish oil in particular is what's been studied for ADHD. And if you do want to use the supplement, I would say out of all the supplements for ADHD, fish oil is probably the one that is usually the most widely recommended. But if you want to get a fish oil supplement, look for one that has 1.5 to 2 times more EPA than DHA. EPA and DHA are 2 types of omega-3s, and those forms have been shown to help with ADHD. The plant-based form, which is the ALA over here, right here, that form is in plants, but that form doesn't, basically what happens when our body consumes the plant-based form, it converts it to EPA and DHA, but in very small amounts. It's not a very efficient conversion in our body, so that's why the forms of omega-3s in EPA and DHA, those ones are the ones that have been shown to have benefits for ADHD. So yeah, they're tough. I personally don't take them because of the side effects of them. So I prefer, if I can, getting it through food. Like, so it's my excuse to eat sushi every once in a while. But in terms of the dosage, it's between 2,000 and 5,000 milligrams for your adults with ADHD. I would talk to your doctor to figure out the best dosage. Capsules and liquids are the best form. The gummy version of omega-3s, your body will not absorb as much of those, so you won't be getting as much of your money's worth, if that makes sense. There are some capsules that are coated with a flavoring that can help, and some liquids that are also flavored. And some people find that helps with especially like the fish burp sort of side effects. And the other things that some of my clients find helpful is keeping it cold. So like refrigerating the supplements for whatever reason can be helpful with that as well. So yeah, I love sushi, but yeah, it's that's what I'd look for in those supplements. The second bullet on the side effects here, those things usually happen within the first month of taking the supplement, and then over time your body will start to get adjusted to it. And sometimes you might need to try different ones to figure out maybe the right one for you. But cold water fish, that is the best source for ADHDers because it has EPA and DHA in them. Our plant-based sources, do not have as much EPA, or don't have any EPA and DHA. Salmon, wild-caught salmon, is going to have the most amount of omega-3s in terms of EPA and DHA. So in terms of the best fish source, wild-caught salmon is. Tuna is definitely there on that list too. You can also find foods fortified with omega-3s. So I get eggs because I eat eggs a lot. So I get mine at Trader Joe's. They have some that are fortified, and they're under $4, which is really nice because Eggland's Best is another brand of eggs. You can find at big chain grocery stores in the US, but they tend to be a lot more expensive. Avocado oil, you can find that fortified with omega-3, and some dairy products as well can be fortified. And the other thing I wanted to mention, if you are vegan or plant-based, algae oil is an alternative for fish oil. It has not specifically been studied for ADHD, but it does appear to work as well as fish oil in terms of how it's absorbed into our body. So that's an alternative if you don't, if you're plant-based. And so this is just a little table of the different sources. So if you see the last two numbers are your EPA and DHA. And so all of our fish places, these all have the right type of omega-3s for us. And our plant-based sources have none of those. They have a different type of omega-3. They still provide lots of great health benefits. So I would still totally consume these foods. They just don't necessarily show benefits for ADHD, if that makes sense. So are you guys ready to play a game? Luckily, it's only a few questions. So basically, there will be 6 questions we'll do. So if someone wants to raise their hand as we go through them, or you can use your raise your hand button, or you can just type in the answer if you know what they are. So the first one is going to be a little true-false question. True or false, 1/2 cup of red bell peppers has more vitamin C than 1 medium orange. I tried to sneak in there which foods had the most of each nutrient. So hopefully I did that. Go ahead, Samar. Or Lashandra.
I think I'll let Lashandra go in this one.
Yeah, go ahead, Lashandra. True, correct. Yes. Our bell peppers, 1/2 cup has about 96 milligrams of vitamin C. So good job. So the next one is yes or no. Protein provides amino acids for neurotransmitters like dopamine. Go ahead. Yes, correct. Now we're going to move on to some medium questions. In general, foods that contain fiber also can include what mineral? I'll give you a hint that way. Go ahead. Yes, good job, Samar. Yes, so magnesium, general rule of thumb, foods that have fiber will also have some magnesium in there. Great job. And then this one, which nutrient has been the most studied, or supplement has been the most studied for ADHD? Go ahead, Lashandra. Yes, good job. Yes, our omega-3s. And our last 2 questions. What are the 3 minerals that may help with ADHD symptoms? They're the first 3 we talked about. Go ahead, Samar. Nice. Yes. Yes. Good job. Well, those are our minerals. And again, if you want to supplement with these, I would double check, get your blood work done to make sure you're either deficient or on the low end of normal, because if you're on towards maybe the upper end of some of these, you probably wouldn't necessarily need a supplement, or you could just focus on foods that have, trying to eat more foods that are iron rich or zinc, rich in zinc or magnesium as well. Yeah, you guys are doing great. This is gonna be the trickiest one. I want you guys to match each of the nutrients to the food that it contains, that has the highest amount of that nutrient. If that makes sense. Nice, Sabrina. So we got vitamin C and red bell peppers. Does anyone remember yep, chickpeas for B6. Good job, Samar. Yes, omega-3s, we got salmon. Good job. So we just need iron and zinc and magnesium. Cereals, yep, cereals have iron. So now it's between pumpkin seeds and oysters. Oysters for zinc and pumpkin seeds for magnesium. Good job. Oh, supposed to say magnesium. That was our game. Good job, guys. We're all going to be winners today for this game. That's all I have for today. So does anyone want to share anything interesting that they learned, or if you have any questions also, please feel free to ask those too.
While everybody's thinking about the questions, I learned something really interesting today. For our Kind Theory community group, there was this very sweet person who posted on there asking that they're having trouble with their twin children, with them being very picky eaters, and she finds it hard to kind of get the same foods over and over again because sometimes they're not available. So she wanted suggestions, and I told her that we're going to have a session soon for Nourish Diversity, and I recommended that she join, and she said she might not be able to make it, but she wanted me to ask. And then you talked about zinc, and recommended that zinc levels can be checked for that. So I'm excited to share that with her.
Yeah, and it can be very common too for folks with ADHD and autism to have some of that sensory processing difference can make us pickier eaters, and things like that too. So, and we can grow out of it too. I was the pickiest eater when I was a kid. I pretty much grew up on mac and cheese and chicken nuggets and hot dogs and broccoli and cereal. I ate like the very few foods for a long period of time. And then as I got older, I started to get a little bit more curious. So sometimes it stinks for parents because it's really hard to figure out how to feed your kids when they're in that pickier stage or more selective phase. But it does, I promise, a lot of times it does get better. So.
Yeah, thank you for that. I just want to, before, if you all have any questions, just give me 1 more minute. So the winners for today, caption the memes, are LaShondra and John. I'm just going to go with John, if that's okay. So if you guys could please email us at talktous@kindtheory.org with your email address, and we're going to send you a digital Amazon gift card, hopefully sometime by next week. And so we'll wait for your email. Congratulations. And if anyone has any questions or parting words, we're wrapping up in 2 minutes, so please go ahead and ask them right now.
And I will say, I'm going to share, I have a little handout that basically summarizes all the nutrients that we talked about today. So I'll make sure that I give that to you guys too when I email you the slides and everything, so that everyone can have that handout as well.
Just wanted to forward some feedback. So from the last 2 sessions, I just forwarded some stuff to my friends, like keeping your frontal lobe sugared, like eating a little bit of sugar now and there, or just eating nuts every 1 or 2 hours. And basically a lot of that you are teaching, and the feedback is really overwhelming, like switching up, drinking, the urge to drink water and soda and stuff like that. It's just like, oh, I should have drank more water. Now I realize. So it's just these little things. So thank you very much. You're helping out a lot of people.
That makes me so happy. I think nutrition can be very overwhelming sometimes, or to figure out what to change can feel very overwhelming, or what to work on. And sometimes we don't have to overhaul everything, right? We can make small little changes and then see how they make us feel, if they're helpful or not. And things like water always, I don't know anyone who says that drinking water doesn't make them feel, or more water makes them feel worse. So it's always a fun one. But yeah, I think sometimes too with like a lot of this stuff online, you see a lot of times it's like people make things overly complicated when a lot of times it is, making small changes and not feeling guilty too. Just like, hey, this is what works for me, or this is what helps me feel good, and not feeling guilty about it either. So, and I appreciate you sharing these things with your friends too. I think the more ADHDers can learn how to support themselves, the better.
And thank you so much for sharing that. And I might, I know I say that a lot, but Becca, you are amazing in terms of like, even after the session, the resources you share with us, and your mission to help all the ADHDers is amazing. So you're a beautiful person inside and out. So thank you for all that you do for us and for all our community members out there. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments, or do we have your blessing to wrap up the session? If we have your blessing, please give us a thumbs up.
Yay. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you guys so much for coordinating this too and letting me educate everyone. It's been really fun.
All right, we have LaShandra's blessing to go ahead and this session. Thank you so much, you all. I appreciate you all so much. Just a quick reminder, our next session will now be in June, 3rd Sunday of June at 1:30 p.m. And this session will be uploaded in, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully 2 weeks. And when it's uploaded, whoever gets to see this session can comment on Caption to Me and has a chance of winning $125 Amazon gift card as well. LaShandra and John, I will wait for your email on our email address, talktous@kindtheory.org. And that's about it. Have a great day, you all. Take care. Bye-bye.